What's up, guys? We are Past the Pop Culture. My name is Ricky with my co-host here, Mrphen.
Howdy.
And today we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We are going to be talking about XDefiant, this new game by Ubisoft. It's in beta right now. If you guys want to try to get into it, I think it goes till the 23rd, so we got a few days left when this goes up. So the other thing we'll be talking about as well is the Tetris movie. We finally saw it. I know it's been like, I don't know, it came out like a week or two ago.
I think 2
And
weeks.
yeah, so but I watched it a lot earlier, but I finally got Finn to watch it, so I kept telling him to watch it, and now he did. So we're gonna talk about it. First things first, we're gonna go into the Tetris movie, like I mentioned. So, shooting from the hip, what do you rate it out of 10?
Question marks out of 10. That movie was it was good. Okay, it was really good, but man, what a roller coaster.
I give it a good 8 out of 10. It was very
Yeah.
enjoyable. I would have paid to go see it in a theater. Actually, I liked it that much.
I would have too, yeah.
But as someone who enjoys retro games and like gaming history in just general, right? Like
Mhm.
that was kind of like I was really the target audience for this,
Yeah.
right? And then I think though most people could enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
Like even if you're just passively familiar with Tetris and like, oh, you play games, it's just a good story to follow. Like it's dramatic. I mean, this, like you were saying, it's just an absolute roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching it, you're just like, what the heck is going on? You have like,
Exactly.
the KGB, you got like these spies, you got like, it's so, I don't know, like, this is gonna go into spoiler territory, so I don't want to get too into it right now. But yeah, like I give it an 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
Like shoot from the hip kind of thing. Like that's how I'm kind of giving it a gut feeling. I really enjoyed it, but again, like it was kind of like in my field, so like it just interests me a little bit more
Mhm.
than maybe the average movie
Yeah.
because of the material. So
Mhm.
that's what I do have to say. So I have that bias there. But I think yes, if you haven't seen the movie, I think it's worth totally seeing it. You can probably get a free subscription to is it Apple
A-
Plus, Apple
Apple
TV, however.
TV or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. It's just their Apple service, right? Yeah, but it's definitely worth watching it. Just at least getting the free trial for. I definitely watch it and then just cancel it
Mhm.
after. There's other good stuff on there that we can go into, like Severance and all that. Like they have good, Mythic Quest. Like those are all good shows. So there's a couple things worth watching there. You can probably get through in like, you won't probably get through everything in a week, but yeah, like
I
definitely
mean, you
if you're gonna
can.
get it, you really are passionate about it. Yeah, but if you really want to, I'd highly recommend just at least getting it for the Tetris movie. Yeah, I think that's like my top level view. What else is your top level view, Fan? Before we get into spoilers.
Oh man, there was times during this movie that I had literally had to pause and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, is this real?
So some of it,
Like
of course, is a little fantastical, but
it
like
is, but
I
still, even if it's not even like half of what actually happened, is like just thinking if the KGB and like all the twists and all the
yeah.
backstabbing, like if all that's real for Tetris, it's like holy cow.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was real from my recollection. Like I
Uh-huh.
haven't seen the little documentary, and I believe it's oh, I think he's the gaming historian. On YouTube. He has a whole
You do
he had
something
a
like
whole
that.
video on it.
Hmm.
And and so I that's what I watched. I watched it a long time ago, but yeah, like a lot of the stuff was real. And like listening to it, I was like, what the heck? This is like a spy movie or something, right? Like just to get Tetris,
It's
right?
crazy.
But yes, so that's like the top level view. So of course we're gonna go into kind of spoiler territory a bit more now. So if you haven't seen it, go and watch it and then come back, right?
Yeah.
Or you can probably hopefully just try to skip ahead if you want to hear our XDefiant rant.
Hmm.
Well, it's not even a rant. It's more just a general FPS kind of like discussion, right?
Yeah.
So you probably skip like 10, 20 minutes in, and then we'll probably talk about it. But anyways, Tetris, right? So when we first heard it, like we're like a Tetris movie, like oh, you're gonna have like
Exactly. Yeah.
the blocks falling, and like what,
Hmm.
like it's gonna be like the Adam Sandler movie, like Pixels or something, like that's what's going on here.
Imagine.
And then so we were like kind of goofing on it, but
Hmm.
it turned out to be like, oh, it's a kind of like a not a documentary, but oh man, what's it called? It just ended up kind of like just a telling of how the game actually got made, right?
Yeah.
So but it was like a full on production thing, right? Like it was really crazy. Like they put like real like spit and polish and shine into like getting this movie to be clean. I did enjoy the pixel art segments when they were doing stuff like that. It was very. I think they came at the source material in a respectful like way, like hey, this is Tetris, man. Like everyone likes Tetris, right? Like they weren't just like, oh, like just a bunch of nerds like this stuff, so we're gonna do like an adaptation and try to like it seemed like they were respectful about like the actual storytelling and everything that happened, right? Like. And because it is pretty crazy, like, whoa, this was the Soviet Union, right? Like, there's these guys coming in, right? I'm surprised they even talked about the Nintendo aspect of things, right? Because
I was about to mention that, yeah.
Yeah, and that surprised me the most, where they had like kind of like Nintendo show up as like this whole like I don't know, like guest
Nintendo
starring.
America is kind of scummy.
So yeah, like
that's all I was saying.
yeah, I mean, you don't have to watch the movie to know that one, man. There's like there's been a whole controversy with like Nintendo going on, really kind of just like. But we won't go into that part because then that's a whole nother hour of the podcast right there. But anyway, so what they're having is like, right, you have Nintendo, and then the Game Boy shows up, right? Like you're just like, oh, they do like this big reveal, and I was like, it was just so funny like watching it because like it just like sitting there like watching it's like, oh, okay, like you kind of look like a weirdo here, like it's like it's funny because like I had my parents watch it with me, right? They're like, oh, we'll sit down and watch a movie together, right? And then we were watching it, and then so I was like kind of explaining like kind of some of the background lore and stuff like that because like, and then they're asking questions about like the Game Boy, right? Because like my dad only grew up playing like arcade games, right? Not really like being a full on gamer or anything like that. So like he was like, oh, so was that like the biggest top like game thing, like the Game Boy, like having it be on there, like was that like super advanced? I'm like, oh no, it was a piece of junk even when it came out, right? Like it was like,
just look at it.
But yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's like the hardware isn't like crazy or anything even at the time because right, you had to like, I think it was the Sega Game Gear, and like it can play like Master System level games if I remember correctly, and then you had other stuff try to compete like the Neo Geo Pocket and stuff like that, Neo Geo Pocket Color, like all these other people were coming out with kind of like different handhelds, but the Game Boy won out because there was good games, and yeah, you couldn't see any of it what was going on, but you had The Legend of Zelda on there, so like
Tetris.
it had Tetris, right? Like so you had like really good solid titles on there, and like you couldn't really see. You had Pokemon on there, right? Like that's probably one of the biggest drivers for the reason why the Game Boy, even the reason why people buy Nintendo products in the first place is probably because of like Pokemon and stuff like that. So it's like, just like explaining like some of the stuff, like the history, like, oh yeah, the Game Boy, yeah, like they didn't have like this crazy power, like and I like how they even explained like why it wasn't even the color screen, right? Because it's like it's too much power, and like the whole point of it was like they came at the aspect where it's like, you know what, we're trying to make it cheap and affordable and stuff like that, and how like it's just this screen with like they're not even lit. There's no backlight like backlighting.
It was, 164 pixel? Is that what it is? That
I want to say, yeah, it was like 164 pixels. Yeah. I forget the dimensions, but yeah, it's like it's
trash.
Yeah, like it's just amazing looking back, right? Like, oh man, dude, that's pretty crazy that we're just fitting games on that tiny screen, right? And it was pretty cool. Like they did the whole big reveal, and he was like, "Oh yeah," because like they saw it, and that did happen when he's like, "Oh, package it with Tetris." Because they were gonna do Super Mario Land, right? And they ended up going with Tetris, right? And it was like, well, why Tetris? But that had so many people buy it because, oh yeah, I mean, the form factor of it being kind of like a brick and everything, right? Like, I mean, that thing was a tank, right? So it was just really cool to see, like, oh yeah, like all these things leading up, interconnecting. If like you kind of know the background history of things and stuff like that. And then the main character, of course, the guy, he's from the Kingsman, right? He did the Kingsman movies.
Was
that the main guy? I think so. I want to say it is. I
don't know why, but the mustache just kept throwing me off. So I think it was him, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean the stash is pretty nice. Like every time I see a main character, yeah, with the mustache, I'm like, I want to do that. But anyway, so I think he did a really good job. All the characters were really well, written very well. The people that needed to be annoying, they were annoying, and it was just like, oh, when we were winning, I was like, yes, we're winning. It was very satisfying, the whole movie, coming to the conclusion that it did. Of course, we already know what happened, right? But it was still fun knowing that, yes, okay, Tetris did get made. Like, it, but just seeing how it all led up, like
Yeah.
what actually happened, I think they did a really good job, right? Because they could have easily just like flopped and then been like, oh, kind of boring, and then, but they made it work, and of course they added some, fantastical elements to it. But either way, it was within realism, it was like,
Or
okay,
was that all what actually happened, Ricky?
I
The
don't
car
I don't remember
chase.
100%, but there was some stuff that I was like, I don't remember if it happened that way 100%, and I can't particularly recall the scenes, but there was like a few things here and there that I was like, I don't remember that, but I could be wrong. So that's kind of how it was. The car chase scene, I think probably was a little bit more on the fantastical side, right? Like they were kind of getting chased around, like
Yeah.
Russia, but I don't think
Not
it
an
happened
actual
that
car
exact
chase.
way. Yeah, like I don't think like they fit in between the truck,
Yeah.
like all that stuff. But I remember I don't have 100% recollection, so I may be wrong. But yeah, no, it was really cool though watching the movie, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully more stuff like this gets kind of made, right? Like that. But the thing is, it's like Tetris though. Unfortunately, was kind of like, well, not unfortunately, but strangely, I guess I should say, was kind of like this weird thing that happened, right? Like not too many games had like.
Yeah, Mario doesn't have a weird story, right? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I
maybe
mean,
it does. We don't know.
I don't know, but so it's like I always think it's interesting like how people got the idea for games and stuff like that, and I think it'd be kind of a cool idea to explore, right? Especially since we saw the Mario movie, right? And then so it's like we were eating good kind of thing, it was like, okay, Mario movie, got the Tetris movie, right? Like a lot of cool stuff and a lot of stuff. I like the stuff because you see video games kind of getting some more legitimacy within movies and just cinema in general. Like, oh, okay, this looks kind of interesting, and so hopefully like it helps bring people to be more, because like I forget, like some people think like video games are just like loser stuff, and it's like, oh, like it's like well, no, it's just a hobby, and it's like, and but to some people they're just like, oh, video games kind of suck and this and that. But yeah, so it was like, oh yeah, all this kind of stuff, Mario movie, Tetris movie, right? It adds legitimacy to like to video games, I feel like, as a respected medium. So I always enjoy it, like when they do it well, right? Of course. But yeah, so I think Tetris movie was just really, it was really fun. It was like really enjoyable. I think just like, yeah, it was stressful seeing like everything. Like I'm just like, how is he not getting arrested? What's going on here? And it's like you had all these like, spying, like, oh,
that guy has some balls.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah, like I mean, granted, he bet everything on Tetris, So it was really cool, like just to see it all unravel the way it did. But I think that's kind of like the whole enchilada right there for me. Like I just like it was just really awesome, like to see everything, because like I've seen YouTube videos or something like that, and like I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But like a fully featured film, essentially, like can't get much better than that. So yeah, again, I would still say it's a good 8 out of 10.
So
I think
where
I
would
really
you rate
enjoyed
this for video game movies?
For video game movies, well, you see, it's not necessarily an adaptation, right? So it's a little bit different. But in terms of just video game movies in general, if I was to just like create an umbrella, I would say like top 5.
Okay.
Like top 5. Yeah.
Okay. Mario number 1, right?
Mario, I think it would be like Mario, then like Sonic 2, and then Mortal Kombat was really good when that came out. Okay. So I did enjoy the Mortal Kombat movie, but the thing is, it's like I have to be careful because it's like, oh, is it just because like I like Mortal Kombat? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I'm willing to kind of accept it a bit more, and so it's like I don't know, like
okay. It's a good movie.
So yeah, I mean, like I just enjoyed all like the violence stuff. There was problems with it. Definitely. But yeah, it's within the top 5. Actually, no, I would say it probably goes like Mario, Sonic 2, and then like Tetris. I think that'd probably be like it's the top 3 more. I think I would say that.
Better than Last of Us?
You see, I enjoyed The Last of Us, but like
you're scared for season 2?
I'm scared for season 2. And then it was a good adaptation, but I felt like it'd be like a good 4th or 5th place. Okay. Just mainly because I felt like they sped through everything, and like we didn't hit all the points that I wanted to hit from the game, and I just felt like some stuff was kind of just left out, and some choices were being made that I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. I mean, you can go and watch our like Last of Us I think it was the final episode review, and then we did a whole review on it. I'm pretty sure if you go onto our YouTube channel, you can find the backlog, right? We did that maybe like a month ago. When that movie show finish?
Yeah, actually a month ago.
Yeah, about a month ago, right? So it's like we've been having a lot of good movie adaptations for
Love it.
games, right? So it seems like, oh, okay, we're probably gonna start shifting to seeing more games, right, like being made into movies. I mean, like, but I mean, if we go even farther back, right, like Detective Pikachu was pretty good, right? Like, so
Warcraft also. Thank you very much.
I mean, Warcraft, it was all right.
How dare
I wasn't a big fan of it, but again, you enjoy World of Warcraft, so it's
that
like
was the second highest video game movie like ever. You know that, right? Mario just beat it.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought it was like, I mean, I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was like great. I think like I don't really remember the movie, to be honest. Like it's like I just remember being like, it's not bad. Yeah,
just
it's
lost
like
all credentials, Ricky.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But again, like I'm not a big Warcraft fan.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
right, like I'm not the hugest Mario fan, but I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and I mean, like I've played the Mario games, right? Like, if I was to never have touched like a Nintendo console and like to never like have seen Mario ever, you could enjoy the Mario movie, but like 90% of it you're missing out on.
That's
right?
true.
Like unless you're a kid, you'll enjoy the movie, right? But if you're an adult and you're like, well, I didn't grow up with this, like, what do you mean? With the Super Mario 3 music? Like what is that? Like, or Mario Galaxy? Like, what is that? Like,
sad for those people.
So it's like, it's like you're missing out on a lot of the context. So I maybe that's why with Warcraft, maybe I was just missing out on the context on it. And it's like, because I have played it, but like not extensively, but yeah, I think, I don't know, it's like, yeah, I think Mario movie is pretty much top right now. It'd be like, I enjoyed Sonic 2 a lot. I remember really liking it a lot. And then I mean, I will admit, maybe plot wise, Last of Us kind of beats it out there, but in terms of just enjoyment in general, right? Like, and it's kind of hard because like you have a TV show
That's true.
versus like a movie, so it's kind of like it gets a little muddy there. But yeah, what are other like adaptations that came out recently?
Uncharted.
Oh, there's Uncharted. Oh no, we don't talk about that. That one I erased from my mind.
Do I need to say more?
Yeah, never mind. Actually, let's move on to XDefiant.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with XDefiant, right? Yeah. Anyway, so with XDefiant, right? We're it's Ubisoft's like latest game, right?
Yep.
It's Ubisoft, so I'm always kind of like, I don't know, a little 50-50 on it always, because like sometimes Ubisoft, they like to play too much, and I don't know, they start doing weird stuff. But I want to like it a lot, but there were some problems. Now they're kind of getting addressed, so I appreciate that they're kind of fixing. I'm not sure it's the net coding or whatever it is they got going on there, but man, people were desync. Like, I was like getting shot around corners. I mean, of course, that stuff's always a problem, right? Like, and even in Halo, right, or we're getting shot. Oh, the Halo adaptation! I forgot about that one. Ugh.
Oh,
remember?
Shoot, that I totally forgot about that.
There was a Halo adaptation, dude. I like how we forgot about it. Yeah, that one. I just not
that
one's
real bad.
That was a terrible adaptation. That one's like on the -100 like slot. But anyways, okay, man, that threw me out. But yeah, anyways, like Halo had that desync problem and stuff like that. I mean, COD still has it, even just a little bit, but they got a little bit better at it. But point being is that, like, there's some problems that most FPS get when they're first launching, right?
Yeah.
Like, these problems are pretty much, par for the course, but I feel like they're improving it. But the hard part is, it's like, okay, sometimes Ubisoft just, like, abandons a project, and then we're just kind of stuck there, right? Like,
that's the scary part.
Yeah, like, unless it's, like, Siege or something, then, Rainbow Six Siege, they really sometimes kind of just tend to lack on the support. Like, unless it's, like, popular and it's popping off, they just don't really support it. And so that's the thing. Like, right now, it's pretty popular. It's popping off. But man, dude, like, how many times have you had a game come out and it's like, oh, okay, it's all the support, and then, like, Splitgate, right? Like, oh, we're gonna do this, and then everyone just leaves, right?
But see, like, there was a conversation that I heard about, like, Splitgate and stuff, and they're like, the reason Splitgate failed is because everybody wanted it to fail, or everybody was under the assumption that it was going to fail, so they just stopped playing. So it's like their player base just left because they're
prophecy, right? Like it was kind of
Yeah,
like that.
it's like what, and then so like with XDefiant, yeah, Ubisoft most likely will drop it, but it's like as of right now, it's more popular than Call of Duty,
Hmm.
and that's huge. Like if I was Ubisoft and I saw, wait, people are playing and watching this more than Call of Duty, we should, you know, like
Hmm.
100% pedal to the metal with this game because it is supported by a lot of Call of Duty pros, old Call of Duty pros, people who actually
I
play the
guess.
game.
Well, before you keep going, that's the important part. Old Call of Duty pros, right? Because
Yeah,
you were talking about the movement and everything. It
yeah,
kind of harkens back to like older Call of Duties, right?
exactly.
So, but keep going though.
Exactly.
Keep
But
going.
yeah, but like in terms of that, that's why, like in my personal opinion, this game can last because there's people who are making it who actually like FPS, and they're like, well, Call of Duty kind of sucks right now. Let's do what the fans want, right? Like
Well, not just Call
everything.
of Duty. Battlefield sucks, right? So
Yeah,
Battlefield's pretty much out of the
good.
question now. Like it's gone, right? Like
Get them out
essentially,
of here.
like people still play. Like people are playing Battlefield 1, dude. Like
Exactly. But guess
and
what? That's an older game. People rather play old school Call of Duty. What's X Defiant? Old school Call of Duty.
yeah.
So it's I don't know. It just baffles me because as a Call of Duty, you know, fanatic and obsessed fan or whatever, it's like when I see X Defiant having everything Call of Duty used to have, and
Mhm.
Call of Duty developers are like, oh hey, here's you know a new skin. Oh, by the way, no new maps. 3 maps? Nah, let's do one.
That's the hard part, right? Because like I remember, like Call of Duty used to probably have some of the like best maps for just like having
Exactly.
fun, right? Like
Exactly.
going around. Like Battlefield had huge, crazy maps, right? Like,
Exactly.
but you had Call of Duty where it was like there were a lot of fun running around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem I think right now is that I don't know because Ubisoft tends to get like cold feet and then they're like, "Oh no, we're
I
gonna
don't know.
axe it."
Yeah.
You know, it's like they get kind of like the second that like the player base is gonna drop by a little bit, they're gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, that's it. We're just gonna move on." And it's like I wish they wouldn't do that because it's like they're
Yeah.
not willing to fight for the player base because like right now people are so hungry for FPS games. Ironically, we have so many like FPS games like out,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all bad for the most part or they're
Literally, yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Right, like so. I mean, you even have like CS:GO basically getting a whole brand new upgrade, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's already like, we're gonna move into that. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just like, oh, okay, we're getting something kind of new, something kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a reskin essentially, and they're
It
just
literally
fixing
is.
some things, and they're like, you're just making it look nicer and like
Yeah.
doing things. So it's like
Wow.
just like an upgrade on the core game.
Yeah.
Like they're keeping things basically the same,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, but like people are just hungry for a good FPS. People like FPS games, right?
Yep.
But it's like people are just like, okay, we're not getting good FPS, or at least things are not going the way we want them to, right, with FPS
Mm-hmm.
games. So it's like unfortunately like with Call of Duty, they're kind of stuck like just selling skins, but it's like I mean, I remember Call of Duty would be like everybody would be like, "Oh, here's a new map, here's a new map, here's a new map.
Yeah.
Where's the maps at? Give us more maps." Okay,
Exactly.
here's more maps. Like I remember that was a huge part was like the maps for the most part were like a huge part of the game, right? Like
Yeah.
you bought certain DLC because you wanted access to the maps.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the reason why you bought COD DLC is because you wanted maps. It's like no, I mean you get like a gun or you get some skins and you get some like cool stuff, but it's like people are like, hey, this map in the DLC is really fun. Buy
Yep.
it.
And it
COD
worked.
Zombies, yeah, this is fun. This is a cool like map
Mm-hmm.
mode. Buy the DLC so you get access to the maps plus the zombies, like all this stuff and people were really excited for like new maps to drop. Now every time a new map drops, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's just in the same
Well,
rotation.
yeah, but that and
Uh,
it's only one map.
It's one map too, but then we don't even have map voting, right? So, and that's one of the things in
Exactly.
X Defiant that I really enjoyed was like I can vote on a map that I like because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes some maps just are bad for certain game modes,
Yep.
right? Like sometimes they're like, hey, this game mode fun for like team deathmatch, terrible for hardpoint
Yeah.
or
Like
domination,
control or
right?
something, right? Yeah.
Or like occupy or something like that. One
Yeah.
skiing map, right? In like
Mm-hmm.
COD right now, right? It's a newer one, but it's like what is it? It's like Control or whatever it was that we're usually playing, right?
Oh,
For rank,
Himalaya Expo,
the
whatever.
Himalayan
Yeah,
Peak or
yeah.
something
I don't
like
know what the
that.
heck is how you
Or
say it.
I don't know. It's like it's something like that, right? And it's like, but playing Control there is just atrocious, right? Because it's
Yeah,
just like it's not very fun, right? It's just
yeah.
kind of like okay, like it's not the best map, nor is it the best game mode to play on that map, right? So it's like domination isn't as bad, but if you do something like that or search and destroy, but it's like it's just that game mode specifically where it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like I don't really want to do this. But it's just like, hey, but if you allowed us to vote on the map, it'd be fine, right? Ranked, I understand it's a little bit, maybe a little bit trickier so to try to get that going, but because one team's probably going to vote for one map specifically or whatever. So, but still, you can still have map voting. It'll be fine. No one's going to die, right? Like, I don't know why they took it out. I think they did it because they know their maps suck. So it's like
100%.
They're not going to put out a map that no one's going to play anymore, right? And it's like we're even bringing back classic maps because it's just like the new stuff they're coming up with is just not as fun.
Well, not only that, but they only have what, like 6 maps?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing on like a handful of maps usually, especially for ranked or something. But it's like you're kind of just sitting there, like, okay, I wish things were just a little bit more fresh or so in terms of just like map designs or something, right? But I feel like that's why, like, even though I wouldn't say the maps in XDefiant is like they're like super great, top tier, 100%. I think they're serviceable for the most part. I don't think they're particularly bad, but I think just being able to vote on a map, because sometimes you're just having a bad streak on a map and you're like, I don't want to play this one right now.
Yeah.
You at least get the chance to vote. And like people vote against, and you're like, shoot, all right, whatever. But it's like you're not forced 100% to play it.
That, like, but it keeps people in the lobby, right?
Yeah,
they can vote. So,
and yeah, because like a lot of people just would leave mid match because they're just like, oh, I don't like this map, and then they leave. And then the only thing I do kind of not like with XDefiant is that like I can't leave right away. Like they do that little like that bar cooldown thing before you get to like the map. Like I was trying to leave, but I'm like, wait, I can't leave. Like sometimes I get a little impatient. I'm like, I just want to leave so I can go and play in in a different lobby.
Right
yeah, and it's like because I missed back in the day where it was like, oh, the game's ending. Oh, I lost already. Oh, I'm just gonna back out because like the game, like literally it would be like, okay, your team loses, you can just back out, join a new lobby. You're like, oh, I don't want to play in this lobby anymore. I'm gonna leave. And like you just jump in. Like it wouldn't be like, it would be like, hey, yeah, you're gonna get like, it's gonna show up as a loss, and it's like, okay, well I already lost, so who cares? And it's like, oh well, the score and stuff is not gonna count. It's like, okay, well I don't really care. I'm already like, master prestige and like have everything I want. I don't care. Like I'm just gonna back out, right? Like it's like it's not a big deal, but it's like that's what I don't like with a lot of modern FPS. Is like I can't just back out whenever I want to, right? Like of course when it's like ranked and like competitive stuff, that makes sense. But if I'm just playing a casual game mode and I'm just like, hey, you know what? We're about to lose. I'm just going to back out. Or, it's like, just jump into a new lobby. Because, like, sometimes I do that where it's like, hey, there's like 2 people here. It's already at like, they have it like another 10 seconds on the point. We're going to leave. Like, and then, I can try to leave. But then it's like, I sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll get like another like 1 or 2 kills in and then dip. And then I'm like, oh, well, we already lost. And then it's like, oh, no, I can't back out. And I'm like trying to back out. I'm like, no, I get stuck. So it's like, I just want to leave. I just want to leave. And it was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, and then so sometimes I'm like, I just want to back out, man. Like, just let me back out whenever. Like, why you got to hold me there and be like, okay, your team lost. And then you got to wait for the score to show up. And you got to wait for all the stuff. And it's like, dude, just let me leave. I just want to leave. I don't know why they took that out of the game. They're just letting you leave whenever. I guess it was like they used to just let you leave whenever. Like, it's like,
don't
okay.
You want your XP?
The XP is like, who cares, dude? Like, just I'm playing the game just to like, get some like kids mad or something. It was like
how many guns did you try?
I tried like the AK. I tried the AK. I kind of like a bit more. I
hate
think.
The AK. What are you talking about?
Than the M4A one, but the ACR they had. That one's kind of. That one's kind of a strong boy though. Yeah, that one and the Vector. Those ones are a little like. Those ones are like, all right, guys, come on now. Like you did this on purpose.
I don't even care.
Those guns are like really good. But yeah, no, I think the gun feels fine. I think, unfortunately though, I kind of like not used to the aiming. It is a little wonky, like trying to.
It's less sticky.
Maneuver. Yeah, I think because it is less sticky, and I've only pretty much played Call of Duty for the last few years. I mean, I play other little FPS, but it always kind of is a learning curve when getting back into it, like with Halo, and then we switched to COD, and I was like, wait, what the heck? This is weird.
That was weird.
So it's like it is a bit of a learning curve, right? Like it isn't 100% direct translation, but I think for the most part, Yeah, I think it's fine. Like now that I played more and more games, I'm like, okay, I'm getting used to it. I'm aiming a bit better. And then, but yeah, like yeah, there's still some problems here and there, right? The main thing though is I don't like, is it a little less toxic or is that just me?
I haven't had anyone say the
The
sacred
forbidden
words or
words.
nothing. I don't even hear that many people talking.
Yeah, people are not really talking in it or anything. Like I only had one game where one dude was like, "Oh, you guys lost. You guys are losers." Like, but he was on my team, so
Yeah.
he was on the enemy team.
Well,
And I'm like, "Oh, cringe, dude." Like it was kind of like you could tell he was like trying to bait a response,
but see, I
and
think
then
that
and then
is.
everyone was just like, "Okay,
Yeah,
dude."
so you know why I think they're not really toxic is because they know, since it's casual, that there's no,
Hmm.
skill based matchmaking. So there's like, whatever, let's just
Yeah,
play.
yeah. Like, and I think that's what it is too, because it's like sometimes I'll lose, and then but like I'm not like I'm just like, oh, okay, like those guys were better or something like that. I'm just
Yeah,
not.
I've
Like,
gotten
I don't.
destroyed.
Like I don't feel like I have to like go sweat mode 100% of the
Exactly.
time,
Yeah.
and it's just like I felt like, and that's the nice thing because like where I was like its main redeeming factor, and I told you that before we did the podcast, where it's
Mm.
like I just like the no skill based matchmaking because I can go in, I can do 1 or 2 matches, and I can play it casually, and it's like okay, like I get a decent score, I'm not having to like sweat my butt off,
Yep.
and then I can just leave and then move on to whatever I wanted to do
Yep.
later. Like
Yep.
I don't like because the thing with Call of Duty is like I get on and it's like an instant sweat mode, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I gotta be like eased into going like full on
Exactly.
sweat mode,
You can literally
and
be
then
listening to music and like playing XDefiant, like just it's chill.
yeah, and that's what I like because it's like yeah, you're gonna have hard, try hards, but it's like
Yeah.
it's casual more. Like you can kind of just sit there and enjoy the game.
Hmm.
Like oh, you're just running around shooting. Like
Yeah.
you just like relax. It's like you can actually just enjoy the game, and it's like no skill based matchmaking was just kind of nice to have again. It's just like oh
What a
okay, like
concept.
yeah, right, and it's like skill based matchmaking. It's like it's fine if you're doing ranked if it's a casual game mode, like I just want to go in and like,
Yeah.
okay,
Warm ups.
yeah, like it's not a hard concept. Like I get that, like it helps, kind of like the lower level people where they're like, okay, they don't get placed against high skill level like players,
Nah.
but it's like you get
Get better.
stuck playing against high level players either way because skill based matchmaking is forcing you to play people on your same level.
Yeah.
So essentially, it just feels like everyone's kind of like just
Stuck.
grinding against each other, like all the time. It's like, dude, it's fine. Like if you're not great at it, like it's
Yeah.
okay. Like
Hashtag
just
time in.
yeah, it's all right. Like I don't. I hope people do support the game just so that like
They
you
need
know
to.
Call of Duty's maybe like no skill based matchmaking for casual
Hey,
multiplayer.
if
Woo.
XDefiant makes Call of Duty better, sign me up. That's all I'm saying. Like
Yeah, like I don't think it's necessarily gonna be the COD killer, and I don't think we should hail it as such. I
that's
think it's
right.
just be like, hey, this is an alternative. Like just
COD
play it.
competitor.
Yeah, COD competitor. It's got that CC. It's just
Crowd
that's what
control.
it is. Yeah, that's what you have to do with this game, though. It's like don't make it the COD killer because every
Yep.
time people like they're like, oh,
They just
okay,
killed or they destroyed themselves. Let me
yeah, because like people
reword
want
that.
it to be. Yeah, it's let's support the game. Let's see what's going on. It's for
Mm-hmm.
free. Just hop on a few games, and then
Yep.
you're not gonna like it's just like, hey, you know what? They're letting us try out everything right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Good on
okay,
them.
yeah, like like, okay, they're showing some good faith here. It's Ubisoft, so
That's I love that though. Every
yeah,
single day they're like, "Oh, something's wrong. Let's try to fix it. Oh, we're still working on it. Oh, it's almost done. Oh, it's about to be done." Like if you check their Twitter, it's every hour they're saying something. Last time Call of Duty tweeted something was like season 3 launch.
like, hey, buy your skins, losers.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you could be a bunny now. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But I don't know. I hope that it's just it's Ubisoft, so they do have the resources, but unfortunately, they do get a little sometimes a little
They're
I say cold feet,
stingy.
but they get stingy and like they just drop things, and it's like, oh man. But I'm hoping that they're willing to put in the effort for this at least for a little bit to see
Please,
how it
I
works
want
out.
them to.
Just because it's like you only really have Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is
Hmm.
getting a little lazy on stuff.
And it's
Uh,
free.
and yeah, it's free. You're not really losing anything by playing it. I mean,
Exactly.
and I kind of just like I like Call of Duty. I enjoy it. This one's more like if I want like because sometimes it's like I'm more being like, okay, if I jump into Call of Duty, it's more of a commitment. If I jump into XDefiant, I play a match or two and it's casual and I'm fine and
Yeah,
I can leave.
yeah.
Because
It's
with
to
Call
relax
of
your brain.
Duty, yeah, like Call of Duty, I gotta play like on like 100% like
Mhm.
game like power
With two
brain mode,
headphones,
right?
right?
Like, yeah, you got the yeah. It's like okay, like I just want to play like a round of TDM and like
Mm,
not have to worry about like doing everything like a professional,
that's
player.
right.
So
Play it.
I, I think yeah, I think again, if you can get into the XDefiant beta, you should do it. I think it's a fairly fun game. I want to like it a bit more. I think I just have to play it a bit more. There are problems with it, um,
But it's a
but
closed beta, so it's to be expected.
it's to be expected. But a lot of the times, those bugs are gonna stay in there for a while, typically.
That's the sad part. But it's just
So
because we're
yeah,
used to
but
it. Maybe this game will be different.
they're trying to fix things, so it's like okay, let's just hope things kind of go well. Cautious optimism, I think, is the best part. If you can get into it, I'm not ripping into it. Like if I had to pay $60 for this, I'd be a lot more upset.
But it's
The
free,
worst,
right?
I mean, the toughest part was like just watching Scump for an hour. It's like, oh wow, that's so difficult. It's like
Oh,
okay,
I hate it every hour or every
yeah,
minute. Curse that
and
scump.
yeah. So it's like it's
Just
not that
kidding,
big of a
buddy.
deal. It's like okay, that was my tithing or whatever that I had to do. It's like just to
Okay.
to keep the Ubisoft gods happy or whatever,
Yeah.
so that I can play their game. Like it's not a big deal. Like just you can get into the beta. Yeah, there's some problems like you were saying with the multiplayer. There's a few times where it's like, okay, I was trying to load into the game and I couldn't load in, or the servers were down. It's like
Yeah.
it's like like it's not a big deal, right? It's
But
like
they're fixed. They fixed it, so
yeah, so
they fixed
um
progression. They fixed everything. So
yeah, like there's just some like you're trying to get like certain like attachments, right? Like I've had it where a few times where I'm like I build out a gun and then I just lose the attachments, but
yep,
like Call of Duty
that's
still does that. So I'm
yeah.
like,
Actually, that's
I'm like,
true. I
the
just
Call
thought
of
about
Duty
that.
does that to me
Wow.
all the time. So
And
I'm like, all right,
XDefiant fixed it in how many days? Less than 3?
I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna
Let's
play
go
some
play.
X
Yeah.
Defiant. Yeah, so this is making me want to play. So we're gonna play some X Defiant right now, guys. So we're gonna be heading into that. Check out our Twitch, twitch.tv/pastthepopculture. We're live every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We're probably playing it for the week, pretty much kind of up until the beta ends. That's probably what we're gonna do, at least just for this week, and then we'll either switch back to Call of Duty or going back into 7 Days to Die. We're gonna kind of decide on that later. But of course, make sure to subscribe. Like the video if you're on YouTube. If you are listening to your preferred podcast platform, thumbs up, heart it, drop a good review, 5-star, however it works in there. We very much appreciate any and all support. Follow the Instagram, follow all the social medias really, right, at Past the Pop Culture. We always be posting clips and stuff like that. You can check out the shorts on YouTube and stuff. So, yeah, if you want to come talk to us about Tetris movie, XDefiant, or anything, games related or, movie related, yeah, like drop by the live stream, right? So,
Mhm.
um, I think that's it. I think covered all
Yep.
the bases.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
thanks for listening, guys. Very much appreciate it.
Bye.